chest breathing has a bad reputation. In really what you're talking about, accessory muscles that are used in breathing, that's really chest breathing. And we do that a lot because we need to use those muscles at times. For example, I'm talking right now, I'm using my abdominals to force air out. I need to. So that's an accessory muscle, but I certainly don't want to use those abdominals at the wrong time in the wrong place. Okay, so you're talking about always upper body muscles, muscles in the neck, and so on and so on. And the idea is that at rest, like you are right now, sitting there, you don't need to use these muscles up here. And the diaphragm, is the primary muscle, and the diaphragm is the muscle that's used by these reflexes in regard to these chemical changes I mentioned to you, like for acid-base regulation. It's operated through the diaphragm. So one of the important reasons to be into the diaphragm and allow the diaphragm to do its work is so those reflexes can do their work. It's not just about what's better from a muscular point of view to be here, there, or whatever. It depends what you're doing as to whether you need those accessory muscles or not. What happens with a lot of people when they take control of the breath, they'll use these muscles up here because they know how to use them. And they don't use the diaphragm, and they take control away from the diaphragm. Maybe they get in the way of the diaphragm with what they're doing. And it's like a defensive kind of a response. And it's kind of a tip of the iceberg where it's not just the muscles, but there may be emotion associated with it, different thoughts that are associated with it. And those upper body muscles may then trigger other muscle activity through learning again. This is through learning. Triggers other muscle activity where you may bite, for example. Every time you take a breath, you bite and you don't realize you're doing that. And now that exacerbates your TMJ problem. Or with a child, it gets in the way of the development of the jaw, because the child breathing in the upper part of the body is constantly moving these muscles. And so the jaw development goes awry, and there's misalignment of teeth and things like that. There's all kinds of things you can say about chest breathing, but chest breathing by itself isn't bad or good. It really depends on what it's about. What is it about? Is it a defensive posture? Are there other behaviors that are associated with it, like triggering contraction in the jaw? Is there reverse breathing going on? Are the reflexes being blocked? You need to look at it from that perspective. By itself, it's not bad or good. It really depends on how it's serving the individual. And that's what we look for. Is it serving you? Is it serving your system? If it is, then what's wrong? A lot of people who breathe fast, for example, have tremendously great respiration. They do very, very well. It's not as efficient as these larger breaths, but efficiency isn't important in most cases, because for every liter of blood you can move through your lungs, you can move 20 liters of air. So usually you're restricted in terms of your cardiovascular output. Your cardiac output is what restricts you. It isn't the air, but you're moving in and out. In fact, being able to overventilate, like when you're anaerobic and you're racing, what happens is that your blood, your heart is doing the best job it can, and now you start to suffer with lactic acidosis. You're building up lactic acid. If you then ventilate more air than the heart is moving the blood, then what you can do is you can stop or prevent the pH from dropping as quickly as it would otherwise. And maybe you can stop it for a while, and you can slow it down, that drop in the pH, and be able to perform with the short time you have to finish the race or something. So you overventilate as a compensatory response that allows you to regulate pH, because you can outbreathe your heart any day out of the week.